I'd like to thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you for being with us this morning. We've had quite an exciting journey this past summer, last year. This group of children, I will tell you, is amazing. They're absolutely amazing children. The teachers I work with, I can't ever thank them enough. We had a phenomenal time spiritually, outreach. We did have fun. We came together as a group. I saw friendships formed that I didn't think were possible. It is an amazing journey that we were given the privilege to go on with this church's support. I've been here a long time, and this church always rallies for every single aspect of what we do here, especially for the youth. But I can't tell you how we were welcomed and loved and led by a wonderful spiritual guide from Wonder Village. He did a fantastic job leading us in prayer in the morning and at night. Because at night, we had a lot to think about. After being in the Tenderloin and serving hundreds of guests, being in a clothing area, knowing that people didn't have a fraction of what we came with. I know if any of you read my Facebook post, I had several incidents where I was very humbled, and the trip changed my life. It really did. Being allowed to be with your children for a week was an honor and a privilege, one that I'll never forget. What we have here today is a slideshow. You will see, and please know there was a lot of outreach work done, a lot of prayer. These kids all grew spiritually. That was the main goal every day. That's why I can't stress to you enough that there was prayer in the morning, there was journaling done at night, and these kids journaled. They would journal 2-3 pages. They would show me. We were all in a room together. We were quiet, we reflected on positive and negative, and we did have fun touring San Francisco because that's an amazing place to go. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to 13 amazing young men and women and let them tell you about each day that we were there in San Francisco. To start us off, here's Ella Bonita.
Good morning. I'm going to talk to you about first day, Saturday. Here we are. We're about to leave to Washington, Dulles, for the plane and San Fran. Thank you. Here we are at Washington. Saying bye to all the parents and all that. And then when we got on the plane, was there a picture? Here we are. You can see that we're tired. They don't really have good pillows, so I called Lucas a nice pillow. But when we were there, we all thought there was going to be free food. There wasn't free food. So there was our, what do you call it? This student was very nice to give us a nice sandwich, and because of our manners and all that. And then when we got to San Fran, we were waiting at the airport for hours, and it was cold, so our phones were dying, so we had to charge them. So everyone's in the airport, and I'm cold, and I'm storming at this door, and usually doors, if you go to Walmart, they open fast enough. This door did not open fast, so in the door, I fly. Suitcase flies, and I'm sitting there laughing, no one's to help me up. And then the vans finally arrived, so then we came to the hostel, and then we got in, checked in. Alright, so here, just imagine the Golden Gate Bridge on one side, and then you have Alcatraz on the other side, and then you have a nice view of the bay. You got the Muir Woods over there. And then this is the man Mike that we were talking about, telling you Mike was an awesome guy. I think that I bonded and got really close with him because he was always there checking up on me. I mean, I did get lost a couple of times. And Mike had contained me, so yeah. All right, now, James.
If you guys don't know me, I'm James. I've been going here my whole life. Today, right now, I'm talking about Sunday, the second day, when we went to the first service and then Grace Cathedral. So this is our first church. This one was really small, but it was a nice congregation. Oh, wow, okay, there you go. So when we were at that church, we got to see 13 baptisms. And after the service, we packed lunches for the homeless, which ties into the next couple slides. Here's us doing the lunches. We had a whole line, went by pretty quick. This is Grace Cathedral, one of the biggest churches I've ever been in. This is the inside. It's really pretty. And these streamer things, not sure, I can't remember what they were for, but they're really pretty. This is the labyrinth that we walked on. And this lady over here is holding one of the bag of lunches that we had made earlier that day. And during the trip, we walked and walked. And by the end of each day, our feet were just stone forward. This is Lombard Street. There's a plaque up here somewhere that says it's the crookedest street in the U.S. This is a view from the top of it. As you can see, it's really steep. This is an arcade on the pier. This is big, so a bunch of sea lions hanging out, dogs and stuff. This is, we did this thing called the stone soup, where we went to the store after each day, and we had a budget of $100 to make food for the whole group of about 19 people. See, this is the girls'
That's how the adults felt after that day.
So we walked along.
Yeah, that's only 2 days.
We walked about 10 miles that day, all uphill.
Some of the old people didn't get through all 10 miles.
Okay, I'm Claudia. I'm Grace, and we're going to talk about day 3, the day that we went to St. Anthony's. Actually, we're talking about day 3 right now. St. Anthony's is an organization in the Tenderloin that supplies clothes for the homeless and also supplies places for them to eat. They also have a rehab center there, and we actually got to talk with some people. We'll touch on that in a little bit, but we got to really see like how they do all their outreach work and talk with people who are actually in the program and see how everything works for them. So that was a really cool experience for all of us. Okay, so that was better. Okay, so the first day, I was in the dining hall the first day, and they serve the homeless, and they don't really like to call it a soup kitchen or something like that because they want them to feel like they're just as like special as any other person. They're just like normal people, so they refer to it as a dining hall. And we served them lunch, and in this picture over here with Zach and James, they stood and they like, put the food on the trays, and then some people went and put well, I don't think they put trays on them, but they like gave them seconds with their cards and stuff like that. And then we had people that bussed tables. And during our lunch breaks, we got to go sit with some of the people that were there and just like conversate with them. And they're actually a lot of people from Richmond. We met someone from VCU, so it's a small world. It's really, really neat. I can't speak for others, but I know for myself, when we actually got to sit down and talk with some of the people while we were eating the same meal as them, it was just really interesting to hear what they had to say and like their perspective on life and how they had lost so much, but they were still so thankful. And it just really puts yourself in a good perspective of how you should be so grateful for everything and everything can be taken up from you. And it just was, for me, that was something that was really important to me. They actually serve 3,200 meals a day to everybody because there's so many people that come in. No, my bad. Oh, all right. Well, on to the next activity. The other one, the clothing separation, was when there would be categories of men, women, teenagers, and little kids, and people would have the opportunity to come in once a month and shop for clothes, and they would not accept anything that had holes in it or stains on it because they wanted them to feel like they deserved actual like nice clothes instead of hand-me-downs. And in this picture, this is all the bad clothes, the disgusting clothes that we're sitting on in a trash can. So, yeah. I know for like Claudia and I, it was just really weird. I remember talking to her about it. It was just like we were picking up clothing and we were like, oh, this is something I would wear. Like we were just putting ourselves like in their shoes. Like that's something, that place we would never want to hope to get to, and just made us really grateful for all that we have and that we're given so much. And it was just kind of a good eye-opener experience to see how much these people don't have, but how grateful they really are for everything that they do have. So more on St. Anthony's, they're just a huge organization, and they do a ton of outreach work. They just, I don't know, they just do so much, and it's so amazing, all that they do. We actually got to talk with people who are in their program, and yeah, we talked with these two guys, Cedric and Matt. They actually shared their stories about how they're in their 13-month rehab program, recovering from addiction. What else did they say? I think they both just, yeah. Matt, actually, his story was really, really sad because he was like a star football player. He had a scholarship to play in college, and instead of pursuing that, he got into drugs, and he got stabbed, and his life just went completely downhill. And his brother like overdosed and died on his couch. And it really just like made you appreciate, you know, everything that you have and not to take advantage of it, especially when it's right there in front of you. So that was like really powerful, I think. Yeah, so that was just like a big thing. Yes. What we did learn from the two men that talked to us, they talked to us like what the program does. So there are programs out there that are just like 20 days, and then they're like, oh, you're cured. But when this program, it was more than just like recovering from your addiction. It was mentally and emotionally getting over it. And they would also teach them like how to put yourself out back there in the workforce, and like how to get yourself ready to work with people day to day, and how to, like, you need to work on paying your bills and just surviving the everyday life and getting themselves back on their feet. The two guys we actually talked to, they live together, and they've actually become really close friends from this experience. And Matt was one of the guy that Claudia was talking about. He had said how he had like lost his faith because of all these bad things. He was like, how could God do this to me? But through St. Anthony's, he was finding faith again. So that was also really cool to hear about how this program was helping in so many more ways than one ever expected it to. We also went to Chinatown.
All right.
I did not know we were talking about this. So in... Oh, was that? Yeah, we were doing... Okay.
Well, that is very short. Okay. I'm Kate. I'm Madison. And so we just had a little walk down Chinatown. It was really fun. We got to go in all the shops, and we had a really good time there. So that was fun. And then we went to In-N-Out Burger, and all really enjoyed it. Yeah, we were waiting for our burgers there. but we had an early dinner before we headed on over to the ferry to Alcatraz.
Okay, so I love Alcatraz, that's all I can say. So the boat ride was about 30 minutes to get over there. If you go outside, it's freezing cold, so we all sat inside for the whole time. That's Alcatraz. It's not very big. All of the officers who kind of work at the prison, their families will stay on Alcatraz too. So there's schools and there's male, what is it called? Male offices. Yeah, those. It was. It's not there anymore. So that is the prison. That's the prison where they stay. And we got to walk up, and it was a whole pathway to it. And that was where the officers would stay on the left. And then on the right are the actual cells that the prisoners would stay in. And those are both taken in the psycho ward.
Yeah, some of those rooms were actually really kind of intimidating because they would be total blackout rooms. So there would be the cell walls, and then there was a separate door that would block out all light. So these prisoners would be in complete darkness, like Mr. Tim was.
And first, Alcatraz was home to the Navy, the U.S. Navy, and they'd send people with misdemeanors just for a few months to get better. And then Native Americans took over Alcatraz, and they actually protested, and they stayed on the island. And then after that, or when the actual real bad criminals came. And that's San Francisco. So that's what all the prisoners would look at every single day. So it's a great view, but it's terrible to actually stay there. And that's Mr. Oglesby. He paid the bird.
Paid the bird.
So yeah, the day 4 we actually went back to St. Anthony's. We're showing this one. Yeah. Day 4 we actually went back to St. Anthony's, and how it worked in the first place is we split into 2 groups. So one group had worked in the soup kitchen, the dining hall, like they had explained, and one group was with the clothing separation. And on the second day we switched, so we got to experience both sides of the service work. And so
Alright, so at the end of the day, we went into this room with Arturo, who was our helper dude. And we had prepared a little ceremony for us, and we got to tell them everything we took away from helping at St. Anthony's, and it was, what is it called? It was a little thing with candles, with sand in it. And we would go and put candles in it when we would say our favorite thing, and we would stick it in the sand. And I think my favorite thing was just being able to touch all these people's lives in just such a positive way, and then being so grateful that we came all the way from Virginia. We got that quite a lot. But it was a really positive experience, I think, for me to just know how lucky I am. So actually right across the street, I think it's right across the street, from St. Anthony's, there's St. Boniface. There's a really nice church, I can't pronounce it. But anyways, so this church, they actually open their doors, I think it's from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., and they let all the people who are on the streets come in so they can sit in place that's quiet and kind of catch some sleep and get out of the sun and all that stuff. And we actually got to go walk inside, so you're in this beautiful church, but then you look around and there's just people sleeping on the pews, and it's just like what? This isn't what I normally see when I walk into a church. But it was just like a really cool experience to see how a church just opened their doors so willingly to let all these people in. And then we split up into small groups when we went in, so we went to serve them. But when my group walked out, there was a man that came up to us. His name was Rex, and we still had our name tags on from working at St. Anthony's. And he came up to me and he was like, Grace, and he started like saying the Greek origin and like all this really cool stuff about my name, and he did the same to a bunch of us. He went up to Luke and started talking like all about Luke's in the Bible, and then like he did the same to Mr. Tim, just reciting Bible verses straight off memory, and he was just kind of giving us a little sermon right then and there outside of church. But to me, I took a lot away from that. It was just really cool to meet a guy who had really just lost so much and didn't have anything at all. But he was really just so thankful and so full of life, and he had so much to share with us. And Rex was just probably one of my favorite parts about San Francisco, because he just gave such a good spiritual vibe to all of us, and he taught me so much just within like the 5-minute conversation I had.
Okay, so this was another beautiful church that we were able to visit when we were in San Francisco. Like it says up there, it's one of the oldest surviving churches, so it survived fires that have flown through San Francisco, it survived earthquakes, and it was this really beautiful mission, and it had this incredible ceilings, and we had the opportunity to walk through it and really just look at the structure and just all the really old buildings. That was nice stop that we made.
Okay, so this is the Dolores Park, and it was actually really nice that day. That was the one day that it was not freezing. And there was a lot of people there. I guess this is like, I don't know, it was like a really big tourist week, I guess, because there were so many people there. But
These
we
are
had
not homeless people in this picture either.
What did
Love.
she say?
I said, this is not homeless people.
Yeah, this is just us, you know. We may look homeless, but it's just us. We had a soccer ball that we took from the hostel, which I don't know whose idea that was, but they decided to bring it and play soccer, so that's what we were doing, and this dog came out of nowhere and was like playing soccer with them, and he actually popped the ball. The hostel's ball, not ours. And so we were without a ball for like, did we have to pay them back? Oh, we had to give someone's ID to someone in case they needed to like sue us, I guess, I don't know. But the park was really pretty. There were so many people. It was super hilly. It smelled really bad. It smelled like contraband. But it was really nice there. Anyways, So on this day, it was the boys' day to do stone soup, so while they were off shopping, the girls just kind of went down to the beach and played and just were super basic and took pictures. But yeah, so that was all of us just hanging out, attempting to get in the water, which was absolutely freezing, so we kind of just went up to our ankles, then ran out like little crying babies. But you know, it was fun playing in the sand. It's a really weird experience, like, I'm at the beach, but then you walk in, you're like, oh, this is ice water. And this is the boys making dinner. I don't remember what you made. They made tacos. Yeah, Shirley Temple's really good.
So at the end of this day, there had been a lot going on. We had had like 2 really full days with St. Anthony's, which had been a lot to take in. And then we'd been doing a lot of walking, so we'd seen like a lot more of the city. And so with Alcatraz, which was really fun. So this, that night, that was right outside of our hostel actually, and we just had this beautiful overlook of the bay. And we went out there to watch the sunset that night. And we all just were able to sit in silence as the sun went down. And like Miss Lisa mentioned, we had our journals, and we just really took some time to kind of collect our thoughts and really reflect on what had happened in this past few days, which was a really welcome experience, just to be able to be with everyone, but really have your own time to just appreciate like God's beauty in that sunset, but also be grateful for each other for everything that had just happened in those past 2 days. Oh, okay, we're going on to the next half.
Alright, so while he gets us ready, I have a little tidbit. I don't think anyone has really mentioned how early we had to wake up when we were on this trip, but it was early, and so on Wednesday morning, we actually got to sleep in a little bit. We went out to breakfast, which was like literally the biggest blessing ever, because we were waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and Madison set this alarm. Well, Madison decided it would be a good idea to like set this alarm to Waka Waka by Shakira, which I don't know if you guys know that song, but it literally starts out with like tribal music. So we're all fast asleep and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden Madison's phone is like blaring like this African tribal music every morning, and now whenever I hear that song, I can only think of like this group of people over here. But we went out to breakfast that morning to a place called Boudin, which was a sourdough bakery in San Francisco, right near where we were staying in like Fisherman's Wharf. And like it was amazing, and they made these little like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but like little bread turtle. They had like little animals, which I thought that was cool. But it was really good, and we got to walk around in like the wharf that morning, and it was really relaxing and just nice after like all the work we had been doing. But then we went to Muir Woods that afternoon, which is a national park with pretty much some of the oldest trees in the U.S., which was really cool. And I think it's something like no one really expected to be very spiritual for them, but we all got there and we were just like amazed at how huge these trees were. And we found out that they were like they were so old, like they were before like the settlers came to America. They were like 1,000-year-old trees, and you can see, like, compared to what Grace is there, they were really big, and everyone just got there, and we were walking through on these paths, just kind of like through the forest, and it was just really amazing because it's like God made this, and like it just kind of blew us all away. And I know it was a moment of wonder for, I think Luke, it was Luke's moment of wonder. And they had this place called Cathedral Grove where everyone was required to be like totally silent when they were walking through it and just kind of listen to the forest. And it was like we had been to all these churches, and we come here and it's almost like it really is like a little church in the middle of nowhere. Like it's just really amazing, and as you can see it, you can't even really like express it in pictures how it really was in real life, but I think we all really enjoyed that. I know I did. And this is Jeff.
So, after Muir Woods, we went to this little town called Sausalito, which was right across the bay from San Francisco, which you can see from where we were sitting in that picture. And it was just really cool because it was like this little tiny town right across the water from this huge city. We walked around and we went to some of the shops, most of which were closed. And we had dinner, and then after that, we walked partway across the Golden Gate Bridge. It was really crazy. That's the view from the bridge. And in this picture, you notice all of us are wearing shorts. It was freezing. This is not short. And it was, even though it was freezing, I thought it was just totally worth it to go out there. Some of us actually didn't want to go out because it was just so cold. And everybody was tired because we were walking around Muir Woods all day. And it was just a really cool experience for all of us. Really cool experience.
Well, as you can tell, we went to Ghirardelli. I'm just gonna say, best chocolate I've ever had. Oh, man. I wish they should build one here in Virginia. Something happened to me that night. When I got dumped. And best place, chocolate, so we were there. I ate my chocolate real fast. What did you get, Chloe? You got, she got, oh gosh. Salted. So, that really helped. But they should have done a good job. This is Dan.
Alright. Good morning, everybody. So this is Thursday, the 6th day. This is the day that we woke up really early, and we moved from our first hostel, Fort Mason, to the second hostel, which was actually a lighthouse. It was the hostel right in front of a lighthouse. But we got there pretty early, and our rooms weren't ready, so we were able to go to the beach for the day, and we spent almost the entire day there. But the parking lot was right behind Mike. You can see Mike, he's like the first guy right there. But we had to walk down this super steep hill, and we walked out to the beach and we set up blankets and everything. And so this beach it was really different than what we were used to, because the Atlantic Ocean, we're just used to just flat, sandy beaches, across, everywhere. Where here, it's there's rocks everywhere. And this beach, it was really cool because there was rocks surrounding all of us, and it's just really big beach. Then right here, there's a cave that we found, and it was pretty cool to go into. The cave was right there. So we went into the cave, we found a couple crabs in there, and then, as the tide kept on going up, people were in there, and so they had to run out because the water just kept getting higher and higher, and it was so cold. So they wanted us to go in the cave. And so this picture right here was taken on top of a cliff that we climbed up on. It was, that cliff. We climbed up on that cliff. There was a little path that went up on there, and on the other side of that cliff was that. And it was just really awesome to see that. Let's see. And so, if you can think, this was a rock wall, then this was the beach that we were on. This is taken from the Lighthouse Hostel. And so we were up on this cliff, kind of right there. And I don't know, I just thought, this was my moment of wonder. Because, looking on that beach, looking back, you could see these huge mountains and just the fog rolling over the top of the mountains and all the rocks surrounding us. And then that was just my moment of wonder the entire trip. So it was just an awesome view. And then on the beach that day, we got to play some volleyball. That was pretty awesome. As I said, we spent the entire day there, so Lisa fell asleep. So did Owen and Tim and Madison. Let's see. So Owen decided to go into the water, and it was pretty cold.
I was trying to get more points on Mike's
Oh yeah,
board.
Mike said that if we go into the water, we get 100 brownie points or something.
It was worth it.
Alright. So this is Lighthouse Hostel. And we stayed in these rooms right here. That's the lighthouse. And then this is from right outside the hostel near the ocean on the cliffs. And so this picture right here was taken on top of that cliff that I was talking to you guys about. And so we're
lighthouse still operational?
Yes.
Yes. It's right at the East Coast, actually.
What's the name of it?
Montero.
Montero.
And so this was later that day when we were able to get to our rooms and unpack, and a lot of them went down there to get in the water. They played, I think, something like chicken, and whoever could like stay in the water the longest. So I got.
Every time.
Great.
Oh, and then Grace, you want to
So anyone who knew my sister on the previous pilgrimage to Vancouver, she actually went with Zach's older brother Evan and Luke's older brother as well. And she got thrown in the Pacific Ocean, so of course the tradition had to continue on, and I got thrown in the ocean as well. Despite my kicking and screaming, I still got thrown in. I put up a good fight because the first time I did it, I got away. But then, yeah, I was wearing Claudia's shirt, and then they managed to rip a hole in the shirt, but it was fixed now, so it's okay. I didn't want to get in the water. I was like, oh, I'll just go down and like, play with everyone. But then, like, I resulted in getting completely soaked. Claudia was also supposed to get thrown in, but she had her phone on her, so she looked out. Yeah, it was really cold. Was very thankful for towels afterwards. So that was my fun little experience.
Alright, so Luke and Zach were not able to be here today, so they typed up something that they wanted to write. So this is Luke's letter about his moment of wonder. On the trip, I got the opportunity to experience many things that normally people wouldn't get the chance to see. One experience that really meant a lot to me was Friday morning when we were staying in the Lighthouse Hostel. I'd surprisingly woken up pretty early before the rest of the